Oh yeah, they call them. Okay. Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order a meeting of the Athens City Planning Commission on the 1st of March at 12 o'clock or 12:05, whichever. And I'd like to establish a quorum with 4 people present and 1 person missing. RJ is gone. And I'd like to administer the oath if I could. Do you swear? Yeah, you can stand. You can sit. Do you swear to tell the truth? So help you God. It's a little variation from RJ. Okay, so we have minutes to dispose of. And that's number 2. I have to follow my cheat sheet or I'll be in trouble. Any questions or?
I reviewed them. I found absolutely no corrections and a nice, concise wrap-up of our discussion at our last meeting.
Good. Do I have a motion then, or anybody else?
I so move.
Second? Second by Christie, moved by Mayor Patterson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. 4-0. Okay, now we have no cases, but we do have a communication. And I have to admit that I was unable to open it. My little Lenovo tried its best, but couldn't do it. I was talking with them on the way up, and it's probably about saving and moving from a PDF to another, and so that's why it didn't do it. So the paper I would have used, but it was the middle of the night. Okay, so whoever's speaking on this, we've seen it before and passed it, so maybe you could just tell us why you're here.
Okay. If you remember before, pretty much the building is first floor and parking and landscaping and all that is exactly the same as it was before. Nothing has changed. To that, other than the fact, we enhanced the entrance to it by adding some curves, which all architects like, circles and curves and those kind of things. And the reason for that is that the first level will serve as Proco's rental offices. Serve as the lobby for a hotel. And so after looking at what's going on, concerns about office space and what's going on in Athens with office space, Mr. Prokos felt that he'd like to put in a small hotel in this particular project. And what's nice about a hotel is that it's kind of a mixed use of parking, even though we meet all the parking requirements necessary for the hotel, which is 1 space for every 2 beds or 2 guest rooms, and then his needs for his parking for his office as well as then the parking. And what's a nice mix is the fact that hotels need parking at night, offices need parking during the day. So what we've created here is a very sustainable, environmental friendly development in that sense. We're not building parking lots that are huge, but there are shared parking spaces with that then. So that's kind of what's happened with the project. I think the fact that some other projects uptown had been abandoned of adding guest rooms close to uptown, and that's why Mr. Prokos became interested in looking at that. He hired me because I've done 3 hotels over the last 10 years, 1 here in Athens, 1 in Portsmouth, and 1 in Morgantown. All of them close to campuses, which is a very nice, coherent mix with it then. So basically, there's the first floor. You walk in, you get your lobby, your elevator going up for both the guests. A secondary entry here from the parking on this side, which we didn't have before. We knew we were probably going to need it once we got our design. We have at this location here office space for 6 offices, and then a conference room for Mr. Prokos' operation. And then your standard things for a hotel, a laundry area, public bathrooms for that thing. So basically we finally filled in the shell that we had before, because the other thing we sent didn't have any interior spaces laid out at that time. So first floor, that's what's happened with this. Same footprint at that point. And then the typical layout for the guest rooms. 2 floors. So what's really happened is the building now is 3 stories high instead of being the original 2 stories. The second and third floor are exactly the same. There's a total of 12 guest rooms per floor for a total of 24 guest rooms with the project then. And that's kind of what's happened with the project.
Did you move the building closer to East State Street?
Nope, it's always been there.
So it comes up right up against the,
We are on the property line with that, and that was due to the fact that we needed to stay further away from the R residential behind, which ended up having a 30 feet setback. And therefore, in the original design, we had to go right out onto the property line on the front end.
yes, but the entrances are kind of at the back.
Yeah, they
the
are.
building.
They are, mainly because you kind of pull in. Hotels always like to have covered drop-offs, so that works very well for it then. And a lot of Procos Rentals traffic is walk-in traffic. Students walking from their surrounding areas to them, so they would be able to come and see that entrance underneath also, because they're coming down Carpenter with it then. So signage will be extremely important. Of course, we'll have to submit to the city on the final signage design and meet all the requirements there. That will become important with the building. We're still struggling on, we've got a mix of a hotel, we've got a mix of real estate rentals, and so we've got to figure out the right kind of name to use to be able to get people to understand what's going on with the building then. But we've got time to do that.
So, disclosing my ignorance, the number of parking spaces, is it per bed?
One per guest, I'm sorry, one per 2 guest rooms.
Yeah. One per 2 guest rooms, okay. Okay.
Kristen?
If I'm remembering correctly, when you first came through, there was a question about the dumpster.
Yeah.
Should this go to, so how's that being handled? Is that,
Well, the recycling area and the large trash cans, what are they, 50-gallon, that is kind of used in the community. It's still in the same location here, which
Okay.
is right there. What I have found and what I've seen is our problem with our hotels is we got to get the staff to be thinking about recycling and to break the boxes down, not throw the boxes in, not broken down, and to learn to recycle, because we want to make this building sustainable in that sense. Put in a big dumpster, which we can't get a big trash truck there to get it out of there, because we are whether we like it or not, we are in a very close proximity of an uptown environment, so a large environment area for an uptown. And because of that, we have to go to thinking about recycling, thinking about less trash with that, and so we'd rather not have 2 big dumpsters in there. We'd rather go to the individual trash cans.
okay.
Due to the fact that Mr. Procos has a large maintenance staff that works for him, it's not an issue that when it's recycling day, when it's trash day, to bring those out to the curb like everyone else does with it.
So I guess my question is, from a code standpoint, is that acceptable with this new use that's being proposed? Okay.
Something new that you probably weren't aware of, and I don't have a drawing of it, and Andy Stone requested it, which I think is great, is that our roof is a green roof. It's one of the he asked for. I don't know if it's on his checklist, and we submitted that. What's exciting about green roofs is, in the old days, we had to put in these heavy, bulky containers that increased the loads of the roofs, increased the cost of building the roofs and stuff. They've come up now with green roofs that are around 5 pounds a square foot, which is really exciting. They're more of a moss kind of roofing and stuff. And if you like to see those, the Athens Sun and Fun on Richland Avenue, where they have jacuzzis, a little bit of advertising for them. The roofs there are green roofs, the flat roofs then. My biggest problem is I have to periodically pull the weeds out of it. So it's amazing, where did these weeds come from? Yeah. So that's been added to the project, so it will help with slowing down the runoffs that we have with the site and with the site then too.
I believe McCracken Hall also has a green roof that
Okay.
they've installed with their renovations, the major renovations that they did, which is an extensive green roof.
Other questions?
May I ask
Absolutely.
My question was about the roof as well. Some of these images, it appears as if it has a convex.
The parapet.
Yeah, okay, that's just a parapet.
Parapet,
All right.
the roof has a positive slope, of course,
Okay,
but it is probably, I think we set it up for 1.25 foot is what the design of it is. The parapet is to, and you should have the renderings. I think the last time I brought this, I had a nice colored rendering. I'm sorry, I don't have it this time. But here.
oh, I'm sorry, there's a roof plan. Sorry, Mike.
Yeah, the
I've
roof
got
plan.
it. Yep.
But
I
if
see
you look
it.
at this, second. You look at this, there is a little bit of convex, and that's just to give the building some character with it. In the original design, when it was only 2-story, the building was kind of designed like a sports car, very sleek and stuff, a lot of curves to it. Now it's more like I would call it a family van, because we're now 3 stories. I'm sorry, Demetrius, I didn't mean this. But we still try to keep some of the character of the building with this, the front entrance stair, which we think is going to be a focal point. There'll be a lot of neat things we can do with that over the years.
Well, anyone else? I was just going to ask, assuming, I'm assuming that what you said was that everything was going to be the same. I was pretty much, the infrastructure, except for what you've highlighted. My question is, will the 24 rooms have a bigger load on the water and sewer, do you think, or not? About the same?
I haven't done the calculations on that, to be quite honest, to give a definite with it. Reality of the fact is, well, I can't answer that because I did a study for the medical offices in Albany, and I found that medical offices add quite a bit of load during the day because of flushing the toilets and stuff. So it's probably about the same with it then.
I was just thinking if it were full capacity, you'd have, many more. Well, it's hard to tell because I've had renters and I know they sometimes do a lot of laundry and some don't until they go home.
Yeah.
So.
We use the EPA's guidelines for in terms of
And I
capacity.
assume they were checked.
So,
Yeah.
will be. This is just a communication, and then
Oh,
we're going
it's
to go
not the
back
fun one,
through
okay.
the process for review.
Buckley Group did the civil on this project, and they are aware very much that we went from office to residential, or to apartments, hotel, guest rooms, all that.
I just wondered, my main concern was in the old part of Athens, there are sometimes issues with water lines and sewer lines, but that's all. I can see you're going to deal with that.
Actually, the square footage, there is more square footage with the guest rooms as compared to if it's residential. So we are below what a residential output would be on it. Because most of all the new apartments being built in town, 2 bedrooms and stuff, are probably around 1,200 square feet. We're about 1,400 square feet with this. And all the new apartments are doing single bathrooms for each bedroom. Kids just don't like to
Share a bathroom.
share a bathroom.
Okay. Any other questions?
I think it's interesting. And so there's going to be 2 suites at this point in time, 2 bedroom suites, one on each floor. In other words, each floor, second floor mirrors the third floor. They're going to look exactly the same.
That is correct. You have, at this point, we have 2 suites or 1 per floor with it, and that just became out of the necessity of strange location of what's going on in that space, and it works out for 2 bedrooms. 2 guest rooms, I guess, 2 bedrooms.
I'd be real curious to see for the rooms that have the 66-degree angle where your headboard location is going to be in those 2 rooms, just as a side note. And then each floor is going to have a food court.
Actually, probably just be 1 food court. The other one will be a lobby area to sit. But the second floor would be the food court with preparation area here with the kitchenette. The 3rd floor will just probably it's got a window here. It's got a great view down the new remodeled Stimson Avenue. So
I'm going to tease you a little bit, Mike. So it's going to be a food court, not a forecourt.
Oh, I must have typed it.
Caught that one. Yeah.
Unless it's a new kind of
computers.
game, you're gonna have racquetball in there or something.
It'll bring something new.
I'll have to give my cat
Edgy.
operator a hard time
Edgy.
on that. You know, I'm so preoccupied with everything else on it, and didn't catch the word.
So that you're talking about, like when you go to insert name of a little hotel in the morning, where they have
Holiday Inn
breakfast.
Express is a
Yep,
prime
right,
example.
exactly.
There'll be, you know,
Orange
waffles
juice,
there and
toast,
donuts
bagels.
and rolls.
If you're
and
lucky.
things.
Yeah.
Which, if you're doing this kind of hotel, you have to have that kind of an operation.
So, any other questions? Well, I guess we'll see you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks, excellent. As far as I know. Should be it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Now, the city planner will give us an update if he will, please.
My turn?
Your turn.
Just a few updates this afternoon. The Sustainability Commission is working to do an update on the data. They're doing all the data collection from the sustainability plan to update it based on 2017 data. They'll be presenting that to City Council, I believe, sometime in April. They're wrapping up the report right now. I'm helping them with that. The Historic Preservation Commission, working with the city, there was a grant that was written last year which was awarded through Ohio History Connection for an Armory historic marker at the site of the Armory. And we anticipate on May 19th of this year doing a dedication presentation for the Armory with that marker, working with Mayor Patterson, a few members of the Historic Preservation Commission to get that all arranged. As part of that, we anticipate having the Southeast Ohio History Center being open all day, free of charge to anybody who would like to stop in as part of the program. And lastly, the comprehensive plan. We are transitioning from, as I reported a couple weeks ago, we are transitioning from visioning, and we are going to begin the planning meetings for the plan starting in a couple weeks. And we will be doing some roundtable discussion meetings to really take a deep dive into topics with some practitioners and local experts. And then we'll also be doing a lot of public meetings with those same practitioners and experts so we can get a lot of public feedback for the plan. We hope to have all of that, those two sections of the plan, all of that information gathered within the next 45 days by the end of April. 60 days, I suppose.
Ambitious.
And then we'll begin. It is, yeah. Well, nice thing, since we're doing it all in-house, is if we need to take longer, we can take longer and don't have to worry about renegotiating a contract with a consulting firm. So we're in good shape on that. And once we have all of that information put together, we will then start talking about the plan geographically, talking about it with our neighborhoods and our corridors and our commercial areas to see how we can apply all of this. So moving right along. Thank you. And I'll in the next few days, I should have some confirmation on meeting dates and topics and times and all of that coming up. That is all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the update. There are no citizens to speak. Our next meeting will be March 15th, the Ides of March, I guess, at 12 noon, which I never can get here for lately. And covering all the items on our agenda, we are adjourned.